Hi, welcome to learnhowtogarden.com. In today's episode on the 10-Minute Gardener, we're looking at the no-dig bale bed we constructed earlier this year. If you're not already subscribed to us at Learn How to Garden, there's a link directly below this film. Click on that, pop in your email address, and it means you get access to our free monthly newsletter, and we can let you know every single time we put up a new film. Doesn't this look just an absolute bloody mess, really? And that's because we're in the third week of October, and for most of these tender courgettes and squash, they really have got to the end of their useful growing cycle, and I've left it just to show you that you can leave it this long and two things will happen. The first is the pumpkins or the winter squash we're growing here will start to harden up on the outside edge, which is what you want. And also you can still crop things like courgettes really late in the year. I'll come around to the front just to show you that it's still possible to be getting courgettes off a bed this late into the year. Now, I've taken that with some of its foliage so that you can actually see it's still on, and these are the courgettes that we grow. They're sort of quite knobbly but have much more taste. As well as them that size, I actually have left a couple of them to get much bigger. Now, this isn't because I think this is usable at this size. This is purely being kept for seeds. I'm going to keep this, extract the seeds from the inside, plant them next year to see if it's possible to save seeds of this variety. Some come true from seed and some don't. But when your bed gets to this point, what you really need to do now is just clear all this away, throw it onto your compost heap. Any patty pans, we grew those and these have gone over, that have got far too big. Leave these for the birds in the winter. Just leave them at the side of your plot. They'll slowly mould down, but they'll encourage wildlife, and that's what we want. But I'll trim this down. I'll put all the squash that we have got out of this bed on the side so you can see the amount they are. And I do think it's important to see what's physically happening to the bales themselves. So we've cleared out the plants. You can actually see they're thrown over here. We're at the very bottom end of the allotment. This is the wild garden. He says wild garden. That's the bit that I haven't got around to tending yet, so it's left purely for wildlife. What you can see in front of you is what we've cropped for the winter. We've been eating courgettes all summer. We've been eating the patty pans at about this size. That's a normal size to eat a patty pan. And quite a few of these, as I say, have been left to get larger. I do cut the edges off and use them in vegetable stews, but the centres I leave out here for the birds. There's the pot marron squash. This is a French squash, a winter squash. Very, very flavourful. It has a real distinct chestnutty flavour to it. And it's important when you crop these, or when you crop any squash, to remember to leave an inch or so of stem on it. If you cut it right back here, they'll rot much, much quicker. And the longer they can sit outside, the harder this outside edge will get on them. You can see at the front of the bed that we've got an infestation of nettle. But because it's a no-dig bed, you can use your hand and more or less pull out these nettles. It's the only real weed infestation we've got in here. And then they won't go into the compost heap because they've got the roots on. They'll get burnt. You're left with quite a messy looking structure, really. The bales are starting to collapse, but they haven't totally collapsed. You could at this point just add all of this to your compost heap, but I am tempted, because of the structure of the bales and they're rotting from the inside, to just rake over the top of this bed. As you can see, if I just do it with my hand, it's nice structure in here, and probably fill this bed with something like spring cabbage or spring greens, so that I'll get another 4 to 6 months cropping out of it. Then we can come back late next spring. If at that point the bales are totally gone, then the whole lot will go into the compost heap and we can start again. Or if it looks like they'll hang on for just another summer, we'll fill it up with fresh manure and start again with our squash. So it's a simple way of growing. I mean, these have been left, as I say, to go far too long. But the thing about that is that if you're growing too much for yourself and you can't find anybody who wants yet more courgettes, so they've eaten as much courgette cake as they can and as much courgette and spinach risotto, just let them grow for the wildlife. The more wildlife you encourage, the better, because the more diversity you have in your garden, the less insects can get on top, the less green fly, white fly can get on top. So what I think we'll do is rake this over. I will get some spring cabbage or some spring greens underway. We'll probably come back in a week to 10 days, perhaps 2 weeks time, just to do a quick 3-minute update on how the bed's looking going into the winter. Just before we finish, a quick top tip. When you're using any squash or pumpkins, all the seeds from inside, even if you're not going to try and keep your own, don't throw them away. Quick rinse under a warm tap, under a hot grill, sprinkle with some chilli, sprinkle with some sea salt. Dead cheap, well actually free snack. Really, really nice. You'll probably eat most of them while you're cooking whatever it is you're cooking with the squash. Thanks a lot for watching Learn How to Garden. Until next time.